The MENA banking sector is opening more and more to non-bank actors. I'm thinking here, for instance, about new fintech licenses in your respective countries. Now, what would you say are the effects, the fears, and the solutions that this brings for banks? For this, I would like to give first right to respond to Abdullah Al-Mehri from Boubyan, who might give us a regulatory perspective on this issue.
As you know, in most of the GCC countries, and I'm sure in many of the MENA region, regulators created those sandbox, regulatory sandbox environment to support the fintech. So actually, some of the countries around us became fintech hubs. So it's there, it's supported, it's happening. We should always look at how we can benefit from those innovations, from the agility and the way they are operating. We see them here at Boubyan as potential partners. We established a department mainly focusing on partnership and innovation, to focus and look and source those opportunities of partnering with fintechs. Here in Kuwait, whenever we want to do that, we need to do it also with the approval of the central bank. There is an acceptance from the central bank, sometimes cautiously approving those, and I totally understand that, because at the end of the day, what a regulator wants is customer protection, data protection, elimination and avoidance of conduction of any financial crime through those facilities. And this is what we want also as banks. So if we can work within that environment and assuring those things, I think we can all benefit from that. The one concern is that once you have those controls on the fintechs, they might lose that agility and ability to innovate quickly. And then others might come and penetrate some of the market unofficially, which is again something we cannot very much avoid. It will happen, but it's an ongoing thing. Yeah, it's never stopped, never reached an end. You should be always ready to go to the next move, partner with the right partner, and expand that network of partnership, I would say, with those fintechs, maybe by creating different ecosystems to better serve the customer at the end of the day. And it would be a win-win-win situation to the bank, to the fintech, to the customer. That's how I see it, at least here, and that's how we are tackling it at Boubyan. It's welcomed. We're looking for opportunities in that. Regulator is welcoming it. But again, the regulator needs to make sure that the environment they're operating within is well controlled to avoid those risks that I mentioned at the beginning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Al-Mehri. Wisam, Mahmood, is it a win-win-win situation?
I completely agree with Abdullah, actually, 100%. I mean, overall, the fintech coming to the market is expected and inevitable, you know, given the relationships that telecoms and mobile apps and mobile providers obviously have a relationship with the end user. It's creating that kind of ecosystem where fintech can actually harness this and providing services at the point of need. It's important. As actually overall is good for society itself, good for new generation and so on. So that's coming, and we cannot really stop it. I think the key thing here is that we play to our strengths with the fintech. So there will be a win-win-win situation in the sense that for the clients, they get the service at the right speed, at the right amount, at the right time. For the fintech, they play a major role in obviously in getting into the market and providing these aggregated services. And for the bank, they actually can provide, in my opinion, and we have a good example of that, where they're providing the underpinning infrastructure where the bank and the fintech can come. When the banks are obviously can provide the account services, liquidity, there's a balance sheet, there's a relationship with the bank, with the clients, but also, you know, the important ability of the bank to actually know the customers from a regulatory perspective. We're talking about regulatory compliance, due diligence, and all these things that needs to be done. So an example is, for example, wallet providers, you know, underpinning all this, there is a bank, you know, payment channel providers, there's a bank underneath all this, or multiple banks. So from that point of view, I think for us, from a transaction banking perspective, fintech is an opportunity for us to expand our footprints and expand volume and reach more clients that potentially traditionally we will not be able to reach. And we have a strategy. We have a very good concept, what kind of fintech we would like to work with, and we don't work with. And exactly, we have a team actually, let you know, I have a team who's focused on actually building this collaboration and building the kind of value model that can actually bring us together in a successful way. So I completely agree with Abdullah. It's fully something we embrace, and we actually work with our advantage as a bank.
Thank you. Dr. Leonie Lethbridge, would you also say that it's very positive and there are tons of opportunities, or would you say that there are fears associated to these non-bank actors?
I think fintechs, particularly as they exist in the local environment, are entirely to be welcomed. So if you think about all of the migration to digital that has happened in our lives, you know, as I've said numerous times, that means that we're in charge of we have the privilege of receiving huge quantities of data, and we at the same time have escalating expectations from clients around the level of personalization that we're able to offer them, the breadth of services that are available to them specifically, and the speed to market by which those offerings can be produced. So fintechs are actually an important partner in enabling all of those three outcomes to be achieved. Now, that also exists in the context where we are operating in different ecosystems as ecosystems coincide or merge. As I said, the e-commerce ecosystem with, for instance, a telco ecosystem with a financial services ecosystem, and they are all colliding. So I think fintechs are an opportunity for us to help leverage the data that we have, the IT, the technical capability that we have, the relationships that we have with our clients, to be able to actually deliver really great solutions that play into those merging ecosystems and landscapes. We certainly welcome our relationships with the fintechs with whom we participate, and are always on the lookout for other partnerships that we can develop.
Thank you.
If I can add one point here, Chloe, if you don't mind. I think, yes, we mentioned all the positive things and the way we think about it, as Dr. Leonie just mentioned, if it's within the society, which is right. But again, if it's cross-border, there might be a risk here, and kind of that will might impact the financial stability of the financial system in a country. There are certain, I wouldn't say, I can't think of one now, but let's say the crypto assets. I don't like to call them cryptocurrencies because they're not currencies, but crypto assets. It's cross-border. Customers here and individuals in the country can actually go and buy, although it's not allowed, let's say, to deal in here in Kuwait directly, but it's a cross-border investment that they can do immediately. Any impact, it will be reflected and impacting the financial ability of the customer here, and therefore impacting the financial stability of the system. So these type of cross-border impact or interrelation, I think need collaboration and cooperation within a different level, not at the domestic regulator level, but more maybe on an international level. And I remember having that discussion earlier with in a meeting with the Financial Stability Board, where it was specifically about the cryptocurrency. The agreement then was maybe we cannot separately regulate something like that or contain it, but if overall we agreed on a way to deal with it, then we might mitigate some of the risks associated to it. So there is some kind of threat and risks associated with fintechs. If it's totally out of the regulation and can easily be cross-border affecting you, or so this is one part of it, one dark side that we need to look at. There might be benefits out of it, but also there are risks that we need to acknowledge, assess, and try to mitigate.
Thank you very much. And did you mean, so in the case of those cross-border fintechs, did you mean a wider collaboration at what level? At GCC level, regional level, global level?
I don't think a GCC level would be enough also. You cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. You see, people are trying to stop, let's say, dealing in cryptocurrencies or crypto assets, those who are against it. But they can't. They can't. We've seen China banning the dealing with it, but Chinese people can still go and buy it easily. So it's not logical to talk about banning certain facilities or services. It's more of how to assess it and how to align with the other international associations, align on the objective and on the benefits of having some type of better control or regulation or oversight, or call it whatever you want to call it. It's something new. We're all exploring. The regulators are exploring how to deal with this. I cannot claim that I have the right answer now on how to control it. But the only thing that I believe in so far is that it cannot happen on a state level if it's something cross-border like what we're seeing in the crypto assets sphere.
I think if I might respond to that, I think I agree with what Mr. Abdullah is saying in terms of being careful about the innovations that we offer. Ultimately, whether that is through a fintech, whether that's through a digital proposition, or even across the counter, in some ways, I think that accountability has always been incumbent upon us. To offer the carefully selected offerings to our clients, and of course to make sure that we're not encouraging excessive risk taking, or on the other hand breaches of regulatory requirements. And as financial institutions, I'm sure we're all very careful about that under all circumstances. So I think it's less about the fintechs and more about who we are as service providers to our clients.
Agree, but one in half a minute. Even if we don't collaborate with those cross-border solutions or fintechs, our customers will still be exposed to that, and then they'll be maybe carrying much higher risk, which, if things went south, will impact us and the stability of us, our stability as a financial institution, and maybe then the financial stability of the financial system overall in the country. So even if we don't promote it, even if we don't, but with the fact that it's there and our customers are exposed to it, this is a threat in itself. And this is something we need to be kind of aware of and looking at it carefully and trying to educate more than ban, let's say, and offer better solutions or better options.